Do you have a lawn that looks good from far, but it's actually far from good? Well, today I'm going to be testing out the new Scarifier and Dethatcher from a company called Bilt, but I'm also going to show you my steps to dethatching and scarifying a lawn. Now, this lawn looks pretty decent from far, but when you get on top of it, you can see it's got just a ton of dead grass and thatch problem in it. But let's talk about that. I wonder, how do I come to the conclusion that my lawn has thatch? Well, I like to use this thatch rake. It's going to give you an idea of what you have and what you don't have, but you can simply use your fingers, part the grass, pull a pinch out. But the thatch rake gives you such a good visual demonstration. You can see on the lawn where I ran the thatch rake how much I really pulled out. I mean, it's a lot more than you'd actually anticipate. Now you can see the soil surface where we go over about a foot and a half. You can't see the soil surface, just dead grass. Now, a lot of you guys are thinking out there, well, that's easy. I can just buy one of those tools. Well, these tools suck. It's about the worst thing you could actually do to your body. It is so difficult to thatch a lawn using a thatch rake. That's why I use these Dethatcher and Scarifiers. They do such a good job while not breaking your back. Now this is your thatch layer, which is this layer of root mass on top. And you can see by this lawn, we don't have a ton of thatch that's exposed. Therefore, this lawn doesn't have a thatch problem. We have a debris problem. Now, having a thatch problem doesn't mean necessarily that you have this massive issue, but what it does mean is a lot of your fertilizer, a lot of your nutrients, a lot of the water is going to get caught up in that layer if it doesn't have dirt in it. I'm not too worried about using the Scarifier in the front yard because the Scarifier is meant to rip through the thatch. Now, if we look at this machine, we've got two attachments. We've got the Scarifier attachment, which looks like a tiller without the wings. And then we have the actual Dethatcher attachment. It looks like a scalp brush. And it's the Dethatcher attachment that I've really come to enjoy and to love. But for those of us who actually have issues with thatch, or you don't really want to aerate a lawn, you can use the Scarifier in the spring and the fall. It's a fantastic way to kind of dig through the roots and control the thatch. The other huge benefit to using a Scarifier is in these instances where we've got a lot of dog urine spot issues. We really want to dig through that and get that matted material out so we can reseed the lawn. So this is the Bilthard Scarifier and Dethatcher, and just like all of them, they look and they feel like a Fisher-Price toy, but I will say this one feels heavier than most. Don't know if that's accurate, but it just feels that way. Just like all of them, start buttons here. This is the start button safety. You pull the lever and then it goes on. Now it looks like they put their fans on the outside, which I think is a good move. A lot of times you get debris stuck in here, and this has been used a few times. I actually picked it up used off of the marketplace. I just really wanted to test it out, and I like it when these are used because it really just shows us longevity and how they work after a few times. This is the Scarifier attachment I was telling you that it kind of rips and digs through. Here is the Dethatcher attachment. Again, it looks like a scalp brush. It's got 4 levels of adjustments, and if I were a betting man, the 1 and 2 is going to be for your Scarifying settings, and your 3 and your 4 are going to be for the Dethatch setting, but we're going to figure that out real quick. So in the backyard, it's kind of an interesting story. We've got these huge big babies here that cause a lot of compaction over some of the grass. We've also got dog urine spot, but the interesting aspect is we really don't have a lot of debris. The soil is actually really happy back here. So in this instance, we've got a really healthy presence of Kentucky bluegrass, where it's always creating more thatch layers, but also rhizomes coming out. So what I want to do is I actually want to thin this out by using the Scarifier. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of a good idea on how to use these machines and why. Now, the Scarifier is not going to do a good job with decompaction. So then what I'm going to do at the very end is we're going to run the Aerate. And believe it or not, one of the most important things you do is use an extension cord that's rated 12 gauge. They take a lot of amps. So if you don't have the right cable, you're going to burn the machine out. Now, general Scarifying is what I like to do is, number one, like scalp mow the lawn. Get it to at least 2 inches or below. Second of all, I generally like starting with a Dethatcher over the Scarifier. But again, we don't have a lot of debris issues in the backyard, so I'm gonna start with that Scarifier attachment. The other issue is this: if your grass is matted down, it's just a matted mess, I like to try it with the Dethatcher first just to be a little bit lighter on it. But I found that with that gummy, sticky thatch, if it's been there for a while and it's really just matted, find the Scarifier, it's worth skipping to that step. But other than that, let it rip, tater chip. All right, let's look at these results, shall we? So ultimately, this machine does awesome. It feels heavier than, let's say, some of the competing brands, and it shows. It's actually hitting pretty good. Let me see if I can get the light a little bit better to shine on this. Now, one of the difficult things is realistically, when you do this process, should have the soil in the backyard here is a little bit droughted more than I would like, meaning we've only got water maybe 1.5 inches down, and that's going to limit our plug length on the aeration. But ultimately, super happy. Let's get this off. I'm gonna go ahead and mow it down, and then we're gonna reassess if we should do a second pass or if we should just jump right into our next step, which might surprise you. I think as I get this cleaned up, I'm gonna jump right into lawn aeration. The compaction that we have back here is more than I would like, but I also don't want the homeowners to deal with a bunch of dirt clods that it's gonna turn into a muddy mess with the dogs. So I think we run the Scarifier after we do the aeration. I think even better. So for pass number 2, we'll do that after we aerate. I prefer to blow the clippings off of the top of the grass, but my backpack blower, it's actually in the service center. They're having a hard time getting parts for it, and I got stuck doing this. Another question I get a ton is, can you just mulch all this matter back into the grass? And the short answer is no, you shouldn't. No! No! Because it is so much. You just be putting a big fat layer on it. It's just gonna act as a weed killer or a big bio layer that the grass isn't gonna be able to get through. So the grass ends up dying. Now, this is great for compost. So if you've got an area of your yard that you can put this in, especially to keep the weeds down, it's a fantastic way to do it. This is the Ryan Lawn Air 4. It's one of my all-time favorites. I feel like it's a timeless classic machine. Does a fantastic job. Has a wide enough deck to get through commercial and residential gates like we have here, making it a winner. It's weight induced. So it's got these 25-pound weights on each side, plus you can put water in the barrel. And it's got these tines that rip and dig into the soil. By far, one of my favorite aerators. Now, if you've never done this before, this machine is a pain in the absolute butt to use. They're very heavy, but simply put, down to go, and then we're gonna turn it on by turning the red switch on in the front, pulling the cable to start it, just like a regular lawnmower, and then this is going to cause it to go forward and back. Now, if you get yourself in trouble, simply just have to let go. It's really that simple. But you really want the machine to drive itself because it's so heavy. There's a couple of reasons why we're doing this. Customer has a lot of dogs back here, and they're gonna need to overseed. So a lot of seed to soil contact. And I know that we already ripped it up quite a bit. He has so much compaction in the soil. It's hard, compact clay. So the more that we can just kind of till this up and get it going, the better off. Let's check our results. As I mentioned before, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take the Scarifier. I'm gonna go over all the plugs again. Just to be a little courteous. I mean, it really does help it break down faster. Now, here's the argument. You take the plugs off or you leave them on. Here's my opinion on this. If I take the plugs off, I really need to replace the dirt. And I like to put sand in, especially with clay soils, or a 50-50 mixed sand compost blend, or sand with topsoil on lawns that are pure sand. Now, I like to do this because we plug it all back in. It helps avoid some of the weed potential that you're gonna get from some of these seeds falling in here, but we're also amending the soil. Now, the real issue is this thatch layer contains a ton of your micronutrients here on top. So if we're to strip and eliminate this, we really need to replace it with something that's beneficial. Well, that worked better than I expected.
I'm gonna leave here guilt-free now. I mean, look at this. I mean, all that, all the plugs look turned into just the thatch plugs that they are. And you can see that good soil back into the lawn. Now we got a few things here and there. Now what I'm gonna do is go over the lawn with the lawnmower again, do a secondary cleanup. Just on the fence if I'm gonna lower the deck just one more time or not, but we'll see on that first pass how it goes. Let's get this all cleaned up. All right, so I'm all done with the job in the backyard where we scarified, we aerated, we mowed it a little bit lower. And you can see, it looks like a bad hair day. This is normal, this is what it looks like. It's gonna take anywhere between 2 weeks and about 6 weeks to recuperate. In the meantime, I highly suggest that they get the water back in the soil the way that it needs to be. We want those water saturation depths to be about 6 inches. Right now, we've got about 2.5, 3 inches, which is good. But now is the time where we're gonna start really getting evaporation occurring. It's getting hotter every single day. Some of these urine spots, it doesn't look like it did much. However, I did. I actually had to go over it twice. I went it over with the machine twice, and then I ended up using my thatch rake and really just kind of scuffing in here. These areas can get really tough to deal with. Now, all of this is dead material. So I'm gonna suggest to the homeowner, they come out here with some seed and or sod bits and just kind of resod. But let's get that Scarifier swapped out for the Dethatcher. Let's start going over the front yard. They really wanted to aerate due to the compaction. So I'm gonna aerate first, and then after that, we're gonna hit it with the Dethatcher twice. Okay, so I talked it over with the homeowner. The fact of the matter is the front yard does not need to be aerated. We are not dealing with soil compaction in the front yard. That's the whole thing. My opinion on it is we don't wanna mess with the soil. The soil is creating biology. Temperatures start to skyrocket, and the less that we mess with it, the better off we are. Now, gonna be a little bit of a hypocrite after I say that. Since we do have compaction up in this area over here where the dogs are walking around the front to get to the front door, I'm gonna go ahead and run a pass with the aerator there, and then I'm gonna use the Scarifier to go through the dog urine spots like we did in the backyard. It's very similar. Then I'm gonna go ahead and swap out the Scarifier for the Dethatcher. Dude, this Bilthard Dethatcher's no joke, man. The Scarifier option is awesome. I've got it to level 2, and it's still just doing its job how it's supposed to. Digging those little grooves. You can really see it here, where it's here. Change this way, you can kind of see. And that's what we want, because he's gonna have to overseed this entire area. I kind of ran this area over like a vacuum. It's all that dog urine spot. It's just gotta come out, otherwise the seed's not gonna grow. Now what I need to do is kind of bring the height of cut down just a little bit for that Dethatcher to go. So we're gonna get that lawnmower out, bring it down just a little bit, and then swap it out to the Dethatcher. I'm excited to see these results. Now that we're getting on the lawn with the Dethatcher, I don't think this attachment's ever been used. It looks brand spanking new. These things are so easy to swap out. First pass cleanup is done, and we're starting to uncover some problems. So this main issue is right here, and I'm having a hard time understanding if we're just dealing with a severe thatch problem, because he doesn't really have thatch. It's possible it's fungal, but he's got plenty of water in there, and when we get in on the grass, we can kind of see some signs here and there. A little bit of, it could possibly just be old melting out. Could possibly have some ascochyta. If it is ascochyta, removing the dead grass is the solution. Really, that's the only way I've really found a way to do it. And it looks just like this too. And the customer stated that it's not growing. It just hasn't been growing for a little while now. So hopefully that's gonna help, but we are far from done. We have so much dead material in here. Got to get a little bit more aggressive. But in the meantime, while we're cleaning this up, I want to talk about another subject. These seed pods, right? The bag on the Bilthard Dethatcher is perfect for these areas. You can see how much stuff that we rooted up, and now we can come through here and really pull that out with the bag. But again, if I'm on the fence with how much I enjoy the Dethatcher attachment. It's got the thicker prongs, and I feel like the small skinny prongs like they have on the old school Sunjos were always my favorite. Look at this, baby. Yeah, all those little seed pods. I had a lot of gravel in there too, which is kind of shocking. Look at that, just tons of stuff. Second pass really with the Dethatcher, I think it was just being a little hasty, did a fantastic job. You can see we got the majority of this stuff out. We still got some of the bigger stuff here and there, kind of get off to the side, but for the most part it's fantastic. After I let the bag fill, I just want to see what would happen if I ran the machine backwards. And you can see a lot more coming out. So on this next pass, I'm actually going to leave the Dethatcher on because the whole point is testing the Dethatcher. Let's do a good job. And this time I'm just going to kind of vacuum style it. Well, it looks like I jumped the gun. The Bilthard, dog. I mean, look at this. It does a good job. I mean, the fact of the matter is the first pass probably just loosened everything up. And I've had this happen a bunch of times, especially when this gets just on the dirt and it's coming out of winter and it just doesn't want to go anywhere. But I mean, stuff is crazy. Let's get this cleaned up, see what it looks like afterwards. But I imagine this lawn's gonna pop. Fourth time I've gone over this thing. Still pulling up pure brown stuff. This will be my last time for the night. But I just don't enjoy sweeping it up with the mower. I don't feel like it does as good of a job. So I'm gonna go old school on this. I'm actually really happy I made that decision to go over it the fourth time. Fact of the matter is like, I've been saying this for a couple of years now. You should really do this really heavily the first day and then once a day ever after for about 4 to 7 days, because you're really just getting the stuff right off the top. But I mean, these results that I've got are just absolutely crazy on the fourth pass.
I mean, look at this. And the grass is just so much happier. I mean, these piles are ginormous. Just like big piles.
Let's go over my final thoughts of the Bilthard. Number one, the cable. It stinks, but I'm a firm believer that I prefer the cables over the wireless ones because you get more power. You get a lot more time on the lawn too. Like, there's no way in a million years there's going to be able to do this with a battery operated Dethatcher. So I use my 12 gauge cable that I got from Harbor Freight. Pretty simple, but proof is in the pudding. It's taking out so much stuff. Between the Scarifier and the Dethatcher, they work well for what they're supposed to do. If I were to make a direct comparison to some of the other competitors, I put this in my top 3 choices. It feels more durable than even the Ginja. And that's almost shocking for me to say. I wish the deck was a little bit wider. They changed the way that you raise and lower the deck compared to some of the competitors. I don't really like this system of pulling up, but it works. It just doesn't feel as easy as some of the others to go up and down. But I think my only argument is I wish the deck was wider. But other than that, it's a solid buy. I wouldn't have any hesitations. I think you're gonna get the majority of the lifespan out of it by a direct comparison to the others. This is a 13-inch model running at 12 amps. The no load speed is 3,300 RPMs, but it performs. It's solid. That's all I can say. But if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, hit me up down in the comments down below. You know I'd love to help you guys out. Until next time, guys, the Pest and Lawn Ginja, we're slaying lawns.